Salut tout le monde, alors bienvenue dans cette nouvelle émission donc, de Live Scalping. Aujourd'hui, donc, comme bien entendu, on se retrouve pour faire des séances de live scalping. Alors, bien sûr, au niveau du scalping que nous réalisons à travers ces émissions, il s'agit en fait du Dow Jones et il s'agit donc d'un trading post-shutdown parce que vous savez que le shutdown a été levé. Donc, a priori, les indices sont, je crois, soulagés. C'est ce on va tenter de voir à travers cette émission. Bien sûr, c'est une émission juste à caractère éducatif et informatif. Donc, ça ne constitue en aucun cas un conseil d'investissement. Si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas à le laisser en bas, en dessous de la vidéo. Aussi, si vous souhaitez vous former, veuillez être en contact avec moi à travers le GSTA, donc le Global Street Trader Academie. François Ablé que je suis. Et puis aussi, on a aussi une chaîne YouTube que vous pouvez suivre aussi également les mêmes vidéos du même type. Et visiter également notre site web qui est le www.gstacademy.com. Bon, donc nous allons commencer cette session de trading. Il est 9h30, le marché US vient d'ouvrir. A priori, ça devrait être un marché un peu, je dirais, difficile à trader parce qu'il n'y a pas vraiment, comme vous le voyez à l'écran, il n'y a pas vraiment de tendances claires qui sont dégagées. Peut-être le marché marché américain est un peu soulagé, mais il n'y avait pas plus de grande peur. Hein. Donc, comme j'annonçais dans la vidéo précédente, plus de peur que de mal, plus de bruit que autre chose. C'est un phénomène qui s'est répété assez souvent dans l'histoire des États-Unis, donc il ne devrait pas y avoir d'inquiétude et c'est ce qui s'est passé. Donc maintenant, on va trader donc, le Dow Jones et puis saisir les opportunités devant vous. Allez, c'est parti. J'ai mon terminal Bloomberg à côté donc pour entendre les nouvelles. Donc, désolé si ça fait du bruit, mais c'est mon environnement de travail. Alors,
I was having a bit of a difficulty hearing you a little bit, but I think your question was whether or not he should pick a CEO role out of the two companies. Is that what you?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I think at some point he needs to relinquish the CEO role at one of these companies. Hopefully it would be Square, and he would stay at Twitter and help usher in kind of this new era that Twitter is embarking on in 2018. Like I said, they're certainly on. They've come off the bottom in terms of advertising growth and DAU growth. So I think they definitely need a stable leadership going forward. Square as a firm is doing phenomenally well, and I think where the leadership is really needed going forward is really at Twitter. So I do think at some point he'll have to choose between the two. Hopefully it would be Twitter.
Victor, at the moment, and I asked this question at the top of this program, Facebook is just killing everyone. How on earth do you get from the 22 we're trading at right now on Twitter to the 30 that you're looking for?
Listen, as long as they continue to execute on DAU growth and all the data I'm looking at points to that happening in this year, as long as advertisers continue to come back to the platform and all of my checks point to advertisers returning, the advertisers I'm speaking with are pointing to increasing returns on investment on Twitter, and I think they'll continue to allocate budgets over the course of this year. So there's an inflection point in advertising growth. I think they return to double-digit ad growth in 2019. Yes, I think Twitter and Google is essentially sucking up the majority of the economics of the ad shift over to the internet. But I think there's also room for other plays, and I think Twitter is there to capture any sort of leakage coming out of Facebook and Google.
Victor Anthony of Aegis Capital, talking to leakage, the stock down another 2.3% in today's session. I want to get you some more movers and head over to Bloomberg's Julie Hyman. Jules.
Well, let's get to the tariff news first, John, where we have the Trump administration saying it's going to impose 30% tariffs on imported solar panels and up to 50% tariffs on large residential washing machines. So that's good news for the few remaining manufacturers that are left of these two items that are domestically based. You've got First Solar on the solar panel side up 5%. This whole solar situation might disadvantage those that are installing panels in the U.S. or big utility projects because their costs could potentially go up. And then Whirlpool, one of the few domestic manufacturers left, up 4%. The other big story of the morning is, of course, earnings, and a lot of companies continuing to talk about taxes. Verizon, for example, says it's going to get a boost of up to $4 billion to its cash flow this year as a result of the tax changes. It, like many companies, took a write-down in the fourth quarter. Its earnings also missed estimates, so it really needs this tax boost right now. Then you've got Procter & Gamble as well, saying it's going to benefit this year. However, the company not appearing to have much pricing power, and that's something investors want, according to Bloomberg Intelligence. Its growth is coming from volume growth, not price growth. Those shares down 2.7%. You have earnings And then you have Netflix, which is kind of in another league this morning. The shares are rising to a record high today, up by 11%. Although with Netflix, it's not really about earnings, is it? It's about subscriber growth. And there, Netflix hit it out of the park. 8.3 million subscribers added. The bulk of that growth coming overseas, which also topped estimates here. The company's price target being raised across the board. And now, John, it is bigger than $100 billion in market cap.
There we go, Julie Hyman. Some big numbers, up 11% in today's session. For more on Netflix, we're joined on the phone by Mike Olson, Piper Jaffray, senior research analyst who has an overweight rating and a $281 price target on the stock. Mr. Olson, great to have you with me on the program. Blowout numbers. How surprised were you?
Well, it was a great quarter with Netflix already up 13% year to date going into the print. Expectations were pretty high, but they did exceed them, and the subscriber upside, along with improving profitability for the international business, the two key factors. Beyond the core metrics, though, Netflix also provided some details on user engagement, telling us that in 2017, average streaming hours per subscriber grew by about 9% year over year. So not only are subs growing, but they're making Netflix a bigger part of people's lives.
Mike, cash burn. Are you worried about how much they're spending and how much they're plowing back into the business to spend on content?
I'm really not. You know, Netflix is still in rapid growth mode, and as they grow, they invest, and there's an inherent element of risk and I guess kind of a leap of faith as investors need to trust that Netflix is able to put those funds to work.
Netflix a atteint les 100 milliards de capitalisation boursière. Ça, c'est fort, ça. Netflix est dans le S&P, donc on a vu que hier, il y a eu à peu près, non pas hier, la semaine passée, il y a eu 70% des entreprises qui sont cotées dans le S&P, 70% des entreprises dans le S&P, donc 350 entreprises ont dépassé leur record en termes de publication trimestrielle, annuelle, et même prévoient d'augmenter donc des dividendes à leurs actionnaires. 70% des entreprises, donc c'est beaucoup, c'est beaucoup. Ça veut dire que l'économie américaine, en fait, n'a jamais été aussi haut. Il y a un certain... En même temps qu'on a les histoires de shutdown, il règne un optimisme assez démesuré sur les indices. C'est incompréhensible.
Alone.
Well, that's kind of been the drumbeat over the last few years, is that there's going to be this avalanche of competition.
En swing trading, c'est facile de rentrer sur les indices. Non, pas du tout. C'est pas si facile parce que on ne sait pas quel est le point bas et quel est le point haut également à choper. En intraday, on peut travailler, mais si on fait attention, mais en swing trading, c'est difficile. Pourtant, dans la durée, on voit que les indices ne font que monter. Donc c'est assez particulier.
Mike Olson at Piper Jaffray, been great to catch up with you, sir. Thank you very much. Steve Wolf, the Federated, and Henry Peabody around a table with me. We talked about this tension between equity and fixed income. Look no further than Netflix. I want to bring up this quote from Bloomberg Gadfly from Shira Obadi. Reads as follows: Netflix's strategy means two things. The company must keep churning out shows,
il n'y a rien à faire aujourd'hui. Hein. Je regarde le marché. Les zones que j'ai tracées ici dans ces rectangles-là, en brun, en bleu ciel, en gris, ces zones-là sont des zones d'incertitude que vous voyez à l'écran. C'est pour ça que vous voyez que je ne fais rien. En fait, je veux voir avec quelle intensité on va casser ces zones-là. Et puis, si on les casse, comment est-ce que le marché va se comporter pour pouvoir prendre des positions. Sinon, pour le moment, il n'y a pratiquement rien à faire. Et le marché ne fait que faire du surplace. Donc, c'est pour ça. Cette zone-là, donc la zone ici entre 26 230 et 26 226. Donc, il y a quoi il y a 7 points ici. Donc, ici, il y a 7 points. La zone a 7 points. Ici, il y a, je crois, 11 points. Donc, 26 189. Bon, on va dire 190 à 26 175. Donc, il y a 15 points. C'est ça. Donc, ici, il y a 15 points. Ici, il y a 7 points. Ici, il y a 152 à 164. 4. Donc, ça, c'est 12 points. Donc, tu vois, ce sont des petites zones où le prix n'est pas censé vraiment fluctuer assez intensivement, pardon. Donc, si on n'a pas des mèches de ce type-là pour les casser violemment ou bien des bougies d'impulsion comme ça, c'est difficile de rentrer sur un tel marché parce que on le voit à l'écran, hein, c'est du statu quo, du surplace. Il n'y a vraiment rien à faire. Donc, je regarde pour le moment. S'il n'y a rien à faire, d'ici 30 minutes, je ne vais pas perdre votre temps. Je vais couper la vidéo.
But it's been a great stock. I mean, there's a story behind it. I can't knock it, but we're not there. But just as an equity investor, we're seeing media and technology just kind of do this. Yeah. Just completely fold over and merge. There's single winners in almost each industry, and both of those industries are just completely crossing over. Right. So I'm a big believer, Jonathan, in not swinging at every pitch that comes across. Okay. I just got to take the fat pitches and hit them out of the park, or at least get a nice double or triple out of it. So what's the fat pitch right now? I don't see a fat pitch in this media space. Yeah. There's so much things going on. It's not completely clear how this is going to evolve. I think Amazon looks like, a player. Facebook looks like a player that's going to be here for a long time. But there is a lot of moving parts right now. Conviction trades from both of you going into year end. Just the opportunity to put them out there, guys, before I lose you, Steve. Financials, we like JP Morgan. Energy, we like Halliburton. Henry? Non-dollar. It's really the only way to take advantage of compelling real yields and an overvalued U.S. dollar. So non-dollar, I'm thinking EM. Yeah, and you're happy to take that FX risk? Yes, absolutely. I think that there's a bias to look at rate differentials as a currency driver, but let's also talk about global growth and the U.S. not being the only game in town, and that won't force that means that we are forcing the dollar higher at this point. Global growth is good for currency. Henry Peabody of Eaton Vance, it's been great to catch up with you alongside Steve Orth of Federated. In the markets, about 12 minutes into the session, the story looks a little something like this. Record highs at a close yesterday, more to come apparently. We're up a tenth on the S&P 500, we're down a tenth on the Dow. No drama here. The story in the bond market as follows. Yields come in a couple of basis points on 10-year treasuries. 263 is your yield, and some yen strength in the FX market with dollar yen testing 110.50 and euro dollar a little firmer ahead of President Draghi on Thursday, 122.67. From New York, this is Bloomberg.
Dans 2 minutes, on aura la clôture en 5 et en 15. On va voir. On vient d'avoir une impulsion ici. Peut-être qu'on va certainement rentrer en position. Apparemment, cette zone ici, il y a beaucoup d'acheteurs. J'ai manqué. Oh là là, qu'est-ce qui se passe?
This markets at the open. I'm Kaylee Lyons here in the Hewlett-Packard Enterprise Green Room. Coming up from Davos, John Szynski, Blackstone Vice Chairman.
From New York for our audience worldwide, this is Bloomberg. I'm Jonathan Ferro. I want to head to the not the auction block. I want to head to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, where Bloomberg's Eric Schatzker has a special interview. Eric.
John, thanks very much. I'm here with Chris Nassetta. He's the CEO of Hilton Worldwide. Chris,
Eric, great to be here. Thanks. It's a little warmer.
Indeed. Yes. Indeed. It is a little warmer than it was last year. So let's enjoy this opportunity. Chris, you've described this as the golden age of travel.
Indeed, I have.
But you've also flagged a risk to your industry, especially in the United States. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I have. I do believe it's a golden age of travel. If you think about just in the last few years, we crested over 1 billion travelers leaving their home country and traveling internationally. Outbound. That's expected to hit almost 2 billion by 2025, 2027. What you have happening is this explosion of middle classes around the world, and people want to see the world and to do business, but also to see the world for leisure. And so this is wonderful for our business. And the U.S., has been traditionally a pretty, good recipient of that. A lot of people want to come and see America. They love America.
That hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed. But reality is, if you look at the year-over-year numbers first half of last year, they're down 4 or 5%. If you look at our overall market share for the U.S. over the last few years is down 200 or 300 basis points. So part of what's going on is you've had a strengthening of the dollar. Travel bans haven't been helpful. It's sort of a convergence of events. A bunch of us in the industry are trying to help get coordinated with the administration to make sure that the people that want to come to America, that want to do no harm, which is the vast majority of the people that want to come to America,
il y a un regain d'optimisme sur le marché. Les acheteurs semblent prendre le marché. On le voit ici en 1 heure. Donc, j'ai manqué mon point d'entrée ici. C'était plus rapide, donc j'ai pas été assez rapide. Donc, je vais attendre tranquillement pour voir vraiment la direction. A priori, on vient de casser un range ici. Il y a un carré ici. Donc, cette impulsion peut-être va pousser le marché peut-être plus haut. On peut aller chercher les 26 300. Donc, je vais m'apprêter à rentrer à l'achat bientôt.
Between countries and actually make the burdens of travel sort of wash away and make it easier for people to come to America and other places around the world, and to focus the energies on those people that are looking to cause trouble. And so Eric, I think they're listening. In the end, here's what I'd say: first half of last year, the travelers that didn't come here probably cost our economy $2.7 billion. Double that probably for the full year is probably a $5 billion issue. And if you translate that into jobs, it's easily tens of thousands of jobs. So I think in the end, if it's all about creating economic activity and prosperity and creating more jobs in America, I think it's hard to ignore. And so in that way, I think the administration is and will increasingly pay attention.
Chris, you told me right here in that chair in Davos last year that a U.S. corporate tax code could free up hundreds of millions of dollars for investment.
I did. I wasn't alone, but I'm going to say, I said this to a few people earlier today. I was a bit optimistic here in Davos. I think
your optimism was rewarded.
I'm an optimistic guy, but I think you accused me of being more optimistic than most other CEOs. And I said to you, well, time will tell. So I'm going to tell you, sitting here today, I was right that the year did what I said last year was the year I think would end up better than people thought it would. And that was because I did believe that the U.S. economy would be a little bit stronger, propelled by the opportunity with regulatory reform, tax reform, and hopefully infrastructure. Well, 2 of those 3 things really have occurred. The third is being talked about. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. And so here, I'll say it again so you can challenge me next year, because we got to have something to talk about. I would say I think the economy, as we sit here today, when we finish the year, the economy will be a little bit better than what everybody thinks today. Now, there is clearly hopefully a little bit more. I'm not an
Là, j'ai
outlier
shorté.
this year with being a little bit more with a little more optimism, but I
J'ai
do
shorté
think
parce que
things are sort of moving
on
in a
semblait ne
decent direction.
pas
And that doesn't
aller
mean
avec
we're
cette
wasting the
impulsion
good
qui avait été
things,
donnée
but
ici.
things are moving in a decent direction. That part of it is tax reform, part of it is the regulatory environment, but it all that and other things are translating into businesses just having more confidence. Uncertainty does not breed, decisions to spend more, invest more, hire more people.
Now that there is more certainty, now that you have the tax cuts, how are you going to spend the
Bon,
money?
j'ai été invalidé avec un petit gain.
Priorities are what you would hope they would be. We're gonna do the right thing in
Des
terms
fois,
of investing in the business
avec le
we're ready to.
slippage, comme j'ai dit souvent, avec le slippage, c'est difficile de vous faire exécuter en scalping rapidement, sur le Dow Jones en tout cas. Mais c'est bon, au moins j'ai pas perdu.
That means raising salaries.
Donc comme vous le voyez ici, là, il y a une hésitation, donc c'est pour ça que j'ai shorté.
We're one of the top 10 great places to work, as rated by our own people in the world, Eric. And so that's
On va voir
because
si
we've done things to invest in our people,
ça va
not
se
just
poursuivre
because
ou
of
bien
tax reform, but
on
year
peut
in,
avoir
year
un
out,
retournement également.
giving them the best travel benefits in the business, the best parental leave policies, the best the overall
A priori, on semble avoir un momentum haussier qui se dégage parce que vous voyez ici en 15 minutes, on va avoir peut-être un croisement de la bande DMI DX. Comme vous le savez, l'indicateur DMI, DI plus et DMI moins, c'est un indicateur en fait pour montrer le sens du marché. Hein. Donc, quand on a les croisements, si le vert passe au-dessus du rouge, ça veut dire en général qu'on est dans un flux haussier et le contraire quand c'est dans un flux baissier, d'accord? Et puis cet indicateur qui est là, le ADX, lui mesure la force de ce mouvement-là, de ce flux. Voilà. Le mot RSI en 1 heure est au-dessus de 55. Donc, a priori, on est dans un momentum, on semble avoir un momentum haussier. Cependant, si on échoue, par exemple, sur des niveaux comme ça, comme ici, ou bien si on échoue également sur des niveaux comme ici, on peut avoir des impulsions baissières comme ici. C'est pour ça que j'ai dit tout à l'heure qu'au début de la vidéo, ici, ce sont des zones d'incertitude. Donc, si on les casse franchement, ok, si on les casse franchement, ça peut donner lieu à des impulsions. Si on hésite, on peut avoir des retournements brusques, comme ce qu'on a vu ici. Ah, ça descend, hein, parce que on n'a pas confirmé vraiment ce mouvement, donc on aurait pu bien prendre bien plus. Mais bon, c'est pas grave. C'est aussi ça le trading. Tant que vous ne perdez pas, c'est déjà pas mal. Ou tant que vous perdez très peu. Parce qu'on aurait pu également aussi continuer sur ce mouvement aussi, mais c'est une zone qui est très faible. Hein. C'est une zone entre 225 et 235, c'est juste 10 points. Donc si on échoue, on n'arrive pas à casser seulement cette zone de 10 points, c'est sûr qu'il y a des déceptions au niveau des acheteurs. Donc ils vont essayer de reprendre. Vous voyez qu'on a recorrigé tout ça. Ah, c'est fou aujourd'hui.
Time now for the trading diary. What you need to be watching in the days ahead. Tomorrow, General Electric. That's one to watch. And Comcast reporting earnings before the opening bell. Thursday, the ECB announcing its latest rate decision. Caterpillar reporting earnings before the opening bell. And Intel and Starbucks report after the closing bell. And on Friday, US fourth quarter GDP sneaking up on us. That comes to us Friday. We'll bring you that right here on Bloomberg TV. Joining me right now is Bloomberg's Lisa Abramovich. Lisa, just quickly, spent a couple of days now talking about that tension between equities, put the cash to work, and credit. I don't know what to do.
Well, to be honest, though, right now we are seeing spreads, the extra yields that investors earn on high-yield bonds over benchmark rates, fall to the lowest on high-yield bonds since 2007. So there's still a race into credit as well as into equities if you look at a pricing level. So that is
Listening to Henry Peabody of Eats and Vance, cash in the teens. Can you imagine being an equity investor right now with cash in the teens?
Right. Well, and it's sort of to be very clear about this, there's a question of that is odd action. What is that graph showing?
That's high yield credit versus the S&P.
Perfect. Yeah. So basically, I think that there's a question of, are people bearish on credit? Do they think it's going to fall? Or is the issue that they think that there's a better entry point?
I think the consensus is they just don't see the upside, right, in the way that it existed maybe a couple of years ago. Bloomberg's Lisa Abramovich running off the Bloomberg Radio. Thank you. This was the countdown to the open. This is Bloomberg.
Donc, je viens de faire une perte. On est vraiment dans un momentum baissier. Hein. Incroyable. Mon timing était pourtant bon, mais c'est fou comment est-ce qu'il se comporte ce matin. Alors, ça fait déjà 28 minutes qu'on est ensemble. Presque 30, donc on continue pour l'instant. Il semble avoir des choses quand même intéressantes à faire.
It's 10 a.m. in New York, 3 p.m. in London, 11 p.m. in Hong Kong. From New York, I'm Bonnie Quinn.
And live from London, I'm Mark Barton. Welcome to Bloomberg Markets.
Là, j'ai shorté.
Here are the top stories we're covering
Covering from the Bloomberg and around the world. In a major trade move, President Trump slaps tariffs on imported solar panels and washing machines. How will this impact NAFTA negotiations? We'll get reaction from Mexico's economy minister in Davos, Switzerland. And as President Trump promises to modernize and upgrade the U.S. military, how will defense companies benefit? We'll speak with Roger Carr, chairman of BAE Systems. And Twitter shares they're headed south as more changes hit the C-suite at the tech company. COO Anthony Noto has resigned to become chief executive at lending startup SoFi. All those stories plus lots more, but we are already 30 minutes into the U.S. trading session. Bloomberg's Abigail Doolittle is here to chronicle some more records, I guess. Some more records, although right now we're looking at small moves, mixed trading action for the major averages. But to Bonnie's point here, we do have on the day all-time highs for the three major averages. This, of course, follows similar action yesterday after, in anticipation of the short-term funding plan being passed by Congress to keep the government open until February 8th. Today, investors seeming to take a little bit of a breather here with these smaller moves. Some asking, though, what can possibly stop this bull market? But let's ask, what is the tailwind? Let's hop into the Bloomberg to see one potential answer here. And this is #BTV7737. This is a look at the earnings picture for the all-world equity index. And we see that for several years, it was flatlining to down. That, of course, led into the correction that we saw in early 2016, then starting to climb in 2017. And take a look at this spike higher here in early 2018 on tax reform. Lots of analysts boosting the profit outlook for companies based on that tax reform, especially here in the U.S., of course. So this could, of course, be a tailwind for the record highs that we have seen for the markets more recently as valuation becomes a bit more reasonable. Now, relative to some of the big movers on the day, let's take a look at two winners and two laggards. For the winners, we're looking at Netflix, up nearly 10%. This on a blowout quarter relative to subscribers. They also boosted the guidance very nicely, and the company now has a market cap of greater than $1 billion. So those shares really trading sharply higher. Verizon had been higher earlier today. They actually missed. Now the shares are lower, perhaps reflecting that, but they are talking about a $4 billion tax boost. Some investors seem to like that in the pre-market. Two of the laggards on the day, bigger laggards, Procter & Gamble down more than 2% after the company beat estimates, but the growth is a little bit less than what some investors might like to see. A turnaround's in place. Some investors are wanting more growth out of that company as opposed to a single-digit growth number. And then Johnson & Johnson down about 2%. They basically put up a inline quarter. Again, another case where investors may just want a little more growth, a little bit more. And the company is promising to use tax cuts, the boost to the balance sheet for R&D spending in the future. And then finally, to end on a macro note, Mark, let's take a look at the 10-year yield. We see that it's down 3 basis points. That tells us Haven bonds are rallying for a second day in a row. That's the first time, Mark, that we have seen bonds rally for 2 days in a row in 2018. So stocks might not be all that excited about the drama in D.C., but we're seeing a little bit more of that in the 10-year yield. And not surprisingly, the dollar trading down with yields, Mark.
Abigail, the gains continue on this side of the pond as well. We're up for a fourth day, highest level since August 2050, led by healthcare, travel, leisure, real estate, and technology. Just want to focus on the euro. Traders are having second thoughts on the euro extending its rally, highest level since 2014 today. That's after the ECB meeting on Thursday. The premium on call options betting on a rise in the euro over puts has narrowed from a 14-month high last week. Investors assess the risk that Draghi could join that chorus of dovish policymakers that have voiced concerns about the currency's recent appreciation. If Draghi fails to talk it down, as happened back in September, bullish gets could again climb to fresh highs. Keep an eye on risk reversal data. This is a great chart as well, 1968. Sterling on a type of rally that traders dream about. It has moved, it's risen over the last week, month, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months versus a basket of 9 other major developed currencies. The only one of that bunch to do so. Time for traders to lighten up? Maybe not. In fact, they're the most bullish pound on the pound since before the Brexit vote. That's the green bars right there. The Brexit vote, of course, back in June 2016. Leveraged funds raising net pound longs to 48,051 contracts. You can see the figure right there. The biggest long position since August 2015. And in the wake of that Trump news on solar and on washing machines, thought we'd look at the European impact. This is a European solar stock, and companies like souhaitent, the French company, falling today after Trump imposed those tariffs of as much as 30%. China already facing stiff tariff opposition here in Europe. The EU imposing tariffs on imports of China solar panels back in 2013, extending them for 18 months in March last year. They're among billions of euros, by the way, of levies imposed on Chinese imports of goods, including reinforcing steel, aluminium foil, bicycles, screws, paper, kitchenware, and ironing boards. Shares of souhaitent were lower earlier. They're off their lows of the day, but still down by 0.5% in the wake of those Trump measures, Bonnie.
Grosse bataille hein, entre les acheteurs et les vendeurs. Aux alentours des 26 175, 26 175, 26 165, ici, là, cette zone-là. Si on transperce cette zone, je vais être certainement exécuté, stoppé. Mais tant qu'on hésite, je tiens ma position.
Essentially, subsidies for the US solar industry by placing some tariffs on imported solar panels and then also washing machines. But it's only 4 years. It's 30%. It could have been a lot more. And that ratchets down. How is this not business as usual?
Well, because this may be the start of a trade war. It may be the first shot that the Trump administration fires in a protectionist effort. These tariffs were imposed under a system that allows companies to claim injury from imports, from a surge of imports, not from dumping, not from unfair trade practices, just that people are buying more of products made overseas. So by putting up this barrier, it tells the rest of the world the United States is interested in holding off some imports.
He didn't impose a tariff on all appliances or all electronics, just washing machines in particular. Is that the first salvo? Will we see TVs and blenders the next?
Well, the reason they did it is because this was a particular complaint filed by Whirlpool Corporation, arguing that, in particular, South Korean makers Samsung and LG were selling too many washing machines in the United States. Samsung and LG argued we were selling a lot of washing machines because people like our products better. And Whirlpool's view was that was hurting their business and that was hurting jobs here. So it is an industry-specific, country-specific complaint, and companies would have to file cases in order to try to get tariffs imposed. The interesting thing about the solar panels is it was filed by two companies. One it had subsidiaries in the United States, but one's owned by the Chinese and the other owned by the Germans. So two foreign companies filing cases against foreign imports.
Mike, it's understandable why China or South Korea might be upset, but why are the Europeans worried?
Well, I think you put your finger on it earlier, that this is a concern about what happens to the global trading system. Now, obviously, there are German manufacturers who sell washing machines in the United States. Their share not as big as the Koreans, but they could be jeopardized by higher prices on imports. But in general, the rest of the world, Europeans in particular, are watching where the Trump administration is going with this, because they don't want to see a threat to the global trading system, to the World Trade Organization. And there are a lot of fears that that's what we could end up with. The Chinese took the U.S. to the WTO when George W. Bush imposed similar
On n'a pas réussi vraiment à casser ce niveau-là tenu.
What happens if the Chinese do it this time and Donald Trump loses? Is he going to try to blow up the WTO?
Donc ça fait 2 pertes et un léger gain.
Thank you. Michael McKee is our international economics and policy correspondent. Let's keep talking trade now and head to Davos, where leaders are gathered for the World Economic Forum's annual meeting. Bloomberg's Eric Schatzker is there with an economic leader at the center of one major trade agreement, and that's NAFTA.
Bonnie, thanks very much. I'm here with Alfonso Fajardo. He is the economy secretary for Mexico, and as you say, certainly in the middle of NAFTA negotiations. Mr. Secretary, good to see you.
Nice seeing you, Eric, again.
Let's begin with this question. What's your reaction to President Trump's tariffs on solar products?
Donc là, j'ai acheté parce qu'on avait cassé le niveau dont je vous avais parlé. Donc, sans m'aller encore dans une impulsion, donc je suis rentré à l'achat.
What prevails is the NAFTA that is in place. So the original NAFTA has a provision, which is called a global safeguard, in which North American partners can apply tariffs vis-à-vis third parties, but they have to obey by the terms of the agreement. So we have to review that now. Mexican exports of washing machines and solar panels is not tremendous. I mean, we are 0.7% of the US market. It was basically directed towards Korea and China. But I believe it's not the right message for Mexico and for Canada. And I do believe that we have to review upon which grounds we have to go about this imposition of tariffs.
Do you expect this to be taken to the WTO?
Depends. Our lawyers are doing the analysis, and we'll be concluding that. The first thing I will do is I'm going to have a dinner with Bob Lighthizer on Thursday here in Davos.
Okay.
And the first thing we'll do is talk to him about this and what was the rationale of imposing and including Mexico in these measures.
We're 1 year into the Trump presidency. How tough has it been on the Mexican economy?
Well,
Oh là là.
remember that at the beginning of 2017, when the president started sending some tweets,
C'est excellent
the
ça.
peso dropped to 22 per dollar.
I remember.
And now it's about around 18 and a half, which
Ça pousse
means
fort, hein.
we're in much better shape than a year ago. And one of
If the currency is a report card.
well, not only that, the Mexican economy behaved much better than expected in 2018. Our growth rate was higher than expected, around over 2%, better than in the average in Latin America. But I have to tell you as well that although we are still not done, but we believe that we can find solutions for this negotiation that will accommodate the three countries involved.
Now, so you're sounding a note of optimism.
Well, I'm always saying that I'm not an optimist. I'm a positivist, which I believe that working on something you can get it done. A negotiator cannot be an optimist, never.
What is it going to take for a breakthrough? These NAFTA talks are in their 6th round already.
Yes, basically what you have in this renegotiation, I would put it in 3 baskets. Around 10 chapters that are about the modernization of NAFTA, the energy chapter, the
C'était un bon
telecom,
trade.
the digital trade, which is an improvement for all the parties involved. But you also have the things that make sense in terms of disciplines, like intellectual property. Now, the challenging items is this new view out of Washington in terms of the relevance of trade deficit for the U.S. administration. And obviously, the main element in it is manufacturing and the car industry. So we have to be very creative to find ways that will work for the 3 countries involved in this process.
So let's pick up on that point about auto manufacturing. The United States wants a minimum
Excellent.
of 85%
Super trade,
North
donc
American
voilà, ça
content for
c'était vraiment
tariff-free
bien.
shipments under NAFTA. That's way up from where it is currently, 62.5%. You've said 85% is a non-starter. What is a starter?
Well, you will realize that I will not...
Ça symbolise ce que j'avais dit ce matin, hein. C'est un marché qui est vraiment, vraiment piégeux, plein de zones d'incertitude. On les recasse, on les retravaille, on les recasse. Regardez en 15 minutes comment c'est illisible. Donc, je pense que je vais m'arrêter là pour cette vidéo. Voilà, ça fait 45 minutes qu'on est ensemble. Merci d'avoir suivi cette vidéo. C'est toujours un plaisir pour moi de partager mes séances. Je vais m'arrêter aujourd'hui parce que il n'y a pas vraiment, c'est difficile de travailler dans un tel marché. Il n'y a pas vraiment de tendance claire, c'est que des mèches, il n'y a pas de flux. Ensemble, on envoie des impulsions, après c'est recassé automatiquement. Les niveaux sont recassés automatiquement. Donc, quand c'est comme ça, c'est difficile de pouvoir travailler convenablement. Et bon, voilà, donc je vais couper cette vidéo. Ça fait en tout cas 45 minutes que vous étiez avec moi. Désolé encore si le début était vraiment un peu ennuyeux, mais bon, si vous restez jusqu'à la fin, vous allez peut-être, ceux qui vont voir la vidéo vont être peut-être un peu servis. Merci en tout cas d'avoir suivi cette émission de live scalping, certes très courte, mais je pense qu'on va se reprendre encore une prochaine fois. Allez, merci, au revoir.